Hi, I'm Sagri. I'm the co-curator of the Founders Peak, and today I have here with me Joakim, who is the CEO and co-founder of Pluto. Joakim, welcome to the Founders Peak Unplugged podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right, so why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and about Pluto in about 30 seconds.
Yes. So I'll start with myself. My name is Joakim, I'm 33, and I bought my first stock at the age of 16.
Wow.
I came from a very, I would say, a socialist family, and nobody had bought stocks before, but I was very interested in the financial markets, so I went out and I bought my first 3 stocks. Now, this was at the age of 16, which was in the year of 2007. So 1 year forward, my investments had been cut by half. So it was an absolutely awful start, but I fell in love with the financial markets. And I pursued a master's degree in economics. I became a trader at the largest bank in Denmark, Danske Bank. Moved to London afterwards to pursue a trading career at Goldman Sachs, before eventually going out and founding Pluto, which is a Robinhood for the Nordics and for the Eastern European countries.
Right. Wow. Lovely trajectory there. How did the name Pluto come about? What does that mean?
That's actually a funny story. So
Okay.
Our DNA was very much when we founded the company that we wanted to do something different. And like any very, very basic idea, we were like, why don't we try to make investing social? So we founded the company under the name Stock Talk, because you could invest on the platform and you can talk together.
You can talk.
And when we were doing our first fundraise, people were calling us wrong names. They couldn't spell it. And one investor said to us, I love what you're doing. I think you have an amazing team. But what was the name again? And then we were like, we got to come up with a name that's original, that people can remember and
That
spell
sticks,
in multiple languages.
Yeah.
Hence the name.
Pluto. Lovely. All right, now I'm going to tell you to tell us one fun and fiery fact about you that not many people know.
Yes. So I used to be the 5th best freestyle rapper in Denmark.
Oh my God.
So if you've seen 8 Mile, there's like a freestyle rap component to it. And that actually triggered quite a big league of rap here in the Nordics, and I happened to participate in it, and I was pretty good at it.
That is so cool. So you can do on-the-spot raps.
In Danish, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do one for us quickly?
I can say something.
All right, go for it.
Yo, this is Founders Unplugged. I hope we're not gonna find a bug. I would like a mug, and if I say something stupid, can we do it unfucked?
Oh my God. That is so cool. Very, very cool. All right. Well, thank you for that. All right. Well, now we're going to get into, your entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to tap on your wisdom.
Yes.
Tell me, as an entrepreneur, what have been the 2 of the biggest challenges that you've faced, and how did you overcome them? What did you do when things weren't going according to plan? Tell us 2 such stories.
Yeah, I would say 90% of the time things aren't going as
Very
they're
true.
supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think as a founder, you have to be very optimistic by nature. And that also means that you tend to not being able to meet expectations, your own expectations most of the time. What has helped me a lot is 2 things. One is having a great co-founder who can be quite honest, but also cheering for you and being able to navigate the mess. One of the other things I've learned is that you just got to keep going. It's about stamina, and
Persistence.
grass is always green on the other side. You always want to pursue the next thing or change things, but sometimes it's just like you got to realize that things are taking a lot longer than you anticipated, and that's okay.
And these realizations, did they come about over time? Did you sort of, how did you actually overcome that feeling of not just wanting to keep going? How did you actually overcome it, or is it something that you still sort of struggle with?
I think it's something I struggle with almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the things that I reflect a lot about, and I don't think this is necessarily a learning, it's more of reflection.
Yeah.
Is that you should be able to explain why you're the right person to do this exact thing. And if it's too easy and it's not like a new technology or something, people would have done it if it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I've also been a teenager and wanted to build like a app that makes it easier to find a nice restaurant. But when I think about it, if it was a good idea, it would exist already by now. So I think what we're doing differently with Pluto being in the wealth management space is that we're not building on top of banks. we're actually building the infrastructure that over time will enable us to be the fully fledged, vertically integrated bank ourselves. And that is the difficult part. Like building a user-friendly app, a lot of people can do that. But then they sit on top of another bank that captures all the revenue, right? So I think what we're doing is quite straightforward, quite obvious, but I think we're doing it in a very difficult way that I think very few people would be able to.
Would be able to nail. Amazing. And for your sort of next lesson, tell us about a time where you had your biggest win. A time when you felt like you totally nailed it. How did success come about, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I think there's been a few different things in my journey, both in life and in entrepreneurship. Let me talk about the latter, given the time constraints. I think one of the biggest things for me was that we founded a company before, me and my co-founder, in the recruiting tech space. And it was just like uphill for 2.5 years until we realized it was a shit idea. So we decided just to call up our investors who still believed that we were doing great. We were profitable at the time already after 2 years, but at a small scale. So we decided to take the difficult decision to sort of halt investing into the company, just let it run and generate some cash. And then we founded Pluto, and then 3 months later, we got into Combinator. So I think that was one of the biggest wins, because for me, it really proved that taking the difficult and the courageous decisions can very, very quickly have a very high ROI, right? I think another thing for us is that we've been building the user-friendly app on top of all the infrastructure that we've also been building ourselves. And I knew we could build the app. Right? I've seen this being done so many times before. But we've managed to build the entire banking infrastructure that we can also open up for other fintechs in a year's time to actually build their own innovative products on top of our infrastructure. And that's also been done before, but the competitors that have done this before have typically raised between $30 to $50 million. We've raised like 3, and we've pretty much accomplished the same thing in a longer time, yes, but I think we've been incredibly lean, and that's one of my proudest moments.
Amazing, congratulations.
Thank you.
I am going to ask you one more question. You mentioned that your previous startup, you were profitable, but you realized that it was a shit idea. How did that realization come about, and how did you come to terms with that?
Yeah, I think I'm a very, very binary person. So either I'm very excited and I'm all in. And it tends to be very, very difficult to make me think differently. But if you, for a long enough time, face me with facts that I can't deny, then I can flip. And then I become very pessimistic. And that's basically what happened. So my co-founder was showing the churn numbers to me. Things were growing, but churn was high. It was sort of pushing a bicycle forward with squared wheels. Like you could push very hard and then it would, go 1 meter. And then you had to do the exact thing over again. So I started to study a lot, what is product market fit and the concept of product market fit. And I realized that it's supposed to feel like you're pushing a bike with round wheels. So when you invest, it starts going, and then you can push harder, and that's going to increase the speed, but it's not supposed to grind to a halt by itself. So that was the one realization, understanding the concept of product market fit. And I think the other thing for me was the sheer opportunity cost. So like I used to be a banker, a trader at the largest bank in the world, like on a very great career path. And having to work so hard for so long to generate $100K in revenue just seemed a little bit stupid. Like then I should rather go back to my old job or just try something all over again. So the economics just didn't quite make sense. And I also think it's more fun to run a business that's going well.
Oh, 100%. And one that doesn't feel like a business, right?
Exactly. And as I said, I was in the recruiting tech space. It was board recruiting. I was never on a board myself. It was just like an idea that an investor came up with. I was like, sure, he's like a very famous investor. I was like, let's do it. But I also learned that passion and unique insights is what tends to make great long-term successes.
I think that's what entrepreneurship is about. And that's exactly why we're here. So thank you for that. All right, should we get into some fun?
Yes, I like fun.
All right, great. We're going to do a bit of rapid fire. So you see here, there are 4 categories. I'm going to ask you to pick 3 categories. And I'm going to give you the question and you're going to answer in like 3 seconds.
Interesting.
Yeah? Cool. What should we start with? We've got trivia, which is this or that. We've got would you rather questions. We've got the Shark Tank hustle, and we have the what if questions. So pick a category to start with.
Would you rather?
All right, perfect.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. All right, do you want to pick one? Let's do like a.
Are you a magician, or what is this about?
Nah, no.
I'll
Maybe.
go with this one.
All right, let's go with this. Okay, I like this one. Would you rather have a co-founder who's a genius but hard to work with, or one that's average but a great team player?
I would say the first one.
Why?
I don't think you can be average if you want to be a sort of unicorn founder or give it a shot, right? I think one of the things I've been most astonished by is if you engage in the founder community. I thought people were good at Goldman Sachs, but when I talked to founders who really made it, like those are the best people that came out of the big banks or McKinsey or some of the other very prestigious places. So I think average is it's a different game. You can be average. And I actually think like another trait that's highly valuable as a founder is being contrarian. And I think, people that are weird tend to be a bit more contrarian, and that can add value.
That's very cool. That was going to be my next question. Like, how would you navigate, them being difficult or, having difficulty dealing with them? But as you said, I think that could be also quite valuable in a way. So, all right, that's a good choice. Next one.
Then I'm go with the what if question.
The what if questions.
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's go. Let me fan these out. All right.
This one.
Okay, I like this one. We've had this a couple of times today. What if you could swap places with the CEO of a rival business? Who would it be?
That's a great question. I don't know if it's too bold to call it a rival, but I think Robinhood is obviously the insanely great company that sort of triggered the entire innovation across the wealth space.
Right.
I think they did so many things incredibly well at the same time. They went for a massive market opportunity. They made investing super user-friendly. They gamified it. They smashed their growth strategy, and they just continued to add on their product. So I think across multiple aspects, I think they're the most fascinating company in the fintech space probably ever.
Very cool. Okay, last one.
We're going to go with some Shark Tank. I know the seers will like it.
All right, cool. All right, shuffle these a few times. All right, fan these out. There you go.
This one.
All right. Ooh, okay. If you could have one superpower to make your startup super successful, what would it be?
Okay, so there's like a cheat answer, which is if I had one wish, I would wish more wishes.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you're supposed to answer. If that's cheating, then I'd say an ability to be able to foresee the next wave. I think timing is very crucial.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest companies, especially in the consumer space, have managed to build a product before there was a wave coming that they can catch.
Yeah.
I think B2B is a bit more steady, but I think in the consumer space, you've seen it so many times with like investing. I would argue we're still in that wave. Obviously, there's been blockchain, AI, a lot of stuff that can just give you success, maybe even as an average founder for a limited amount of time, if you time it well. So understanding and be able to foresee consumer cycles, I think is very powerful.
Right. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to that. If you could travel back in time, or if time travel was real, and you had the opportunity to either go back in time and correct a mistake, or travel to the future and just to see what the future is like, what would be your choice?
I think I'd like to travel to the future just because of my innate curiosity. Because I do think that innovation is hyperbolic, like by nature. So I think, I remember all these references to 1984 where basically, cars were flying and stuff. And I think we've probably disappointed in many ways, right? We're still not quite there. But I do think with what's been happening over just the past 10 years, innovation will accelerate. And I think being a founder is going to be even more intriguing in the future. I also think, the flip side to that is that a lot of people become a founder just because AI is hot and they have like a weird idea. I think you got to have the traits and the tenacity to keep going and stuff. But I think it's going to be even more interesting in the future.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think this was fun. Did you have fun?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
All right. Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the Founders Peak Unplugged. All the best and
Thank you.
Have fun.